So just like that process that you mentioned, that kind of iterative process where one, you can't do it all in one shot just because it's just such a
Yeah.
big task. But also the other part about it in cryptography is, and we know this from classical cryptography, right? I mean, the everybody builds a better mousetrap and then a better mouse, and then it just kind of
Yeah.
goes back and forth, especially with the hacker community. And I assume that's true also in post-quantum cryptography. So now that these standards have been standardized by NIST, I gotta assume that this isn't the end of this. I mean, we're going to
Oh,
see some continued evolution of both the algorithms as well as the standards.
totally right. This is definitely not an end, but it
Yeah.
is actually, really a beginning, Francis. As you rightly pointed out,
Yeah.
the I mean, there are algorithm standards that NIST is working on. They're asking for more algorithms, and we have submitted more as well. And as quantum technology advances, new standards will emerge, and new alternatives and new implementations will become available. So that's important to consider. And so replacing the current cryptography with quantum safe cryptography is not as easy as swapping the old one with the new one in a one-to-one replacement. It just isn't. So one needs to know how these new algorithms work, which is most suited for that particular use case or particular usage scenario that I, as a client, I'm interested in. Sometimes you may have to use a hybrid approach. One has to evaluate performance considerations of these new algorithms and the new non-functional aspects. And also, for example, when these standards get announced, the cryptographic libraries for various programming languages that exist, such as JCA and Bouncy Castle for Java, PyCryptodome for Python, etc. There are a number of these, cryptographic libraries that exist in various languages. These library providers can now publish quantum-safe versions of their libraries, and when they do, application owners can begin to change their applications to use these libraries and therefore become quantum-safe. So the entire software supply chain will get engaged and goes into action. I am not trying to make it sound very complex or very difficult, but merely pointing out that it has to be a planned and thoughtful exercise. Therefore, knowing more about where you are using the algorithms as well as the applied aspects of the new algorithms become important so that you can begin in earnest only after the standards are published.
Right, and I think you're right. I mean, yes, there's a lot of math involved, and there's probably a lot of project management, but it's really more about just it's not necessarily difficult in terms of a technological standpoint once we have these algorithms standard. It's really more of just crunching through the sheer amount of information and then figuring out how best to roll out these solutions, right? And I
Right.
think and we're asking we're asking enterprises to go down this journey that at least for this initial transition from classical to PQC, might have a little bit longer time frame. But while we've asked them to go ahead and open up the toolbox and start changing, processes, what can they do to, and there's a concept out there called crypto agility,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
What can they do to maybe build in to since they're already kind of redoing things anyway, maybe build in a way so that future iterations of changes become easier to do. And how's IBM maybe helping with that process?
I think that is the most critical point. If I were to say that, you earlier mentioned that, hey, how do I change all of this, cryptography that I discover? I think this crypto agility, plays right into it. So let me, just for clarity, start with the definition. Crypto agility means that the system, platform, application, or even an organization can rapidly change to adapt its cryptographic mechanisms and algorithms in response to changing threats, technological advances, new discoveries, or new vulnerabilities, etc., without disrupting their business. That's essentially what it means, right? But there is a misunderstanding that crypto agility is about handling quantum safe cryptography in the most nimblest way possible. Not quite, right? So we have to look at crypto agility as a capability that is used not just in the migration to quantum safe cryptography, but also beyond that, right? It's not this is the best way for me to get to the quantum safe state, but it is also how do I continue to manage and maintain that, right? But the key point is it doesn't matter from a client standpoint where you are in your quantum safe journey or what the level of security maturity is. We can meet you where the enterprise is. I mean, anyone can build in crypto agility is what I'm trying to say. And you asked about what we do from an IBM standpoint. So allow me to explain that, sort of in the simple manner. We look at the journey of becoming quantum safe in 3 stages. Discovery, that we talked about, observation and prioritization, we kind of touched on that, and then transformation or remediation, which is what you need to change, right? Now, crypto agility should be built into each of these stages, and the technical capabilities that automate and enable these 3 stages should work synergistically. First I talked about, they cannot do this manually, it has to be automated, right? So my point here is, while you look at the various life cycle stages of discovery, observability, and transformation, we have technology capabilities that support each of those actions or each of those stages. They all need to work synergistically and not in isolation. That's one thing. The second thing is, when we look at crypto agility, we look at it across, again, 3 dimensions: automation, architecture, and governance. I've talked enough about automation, but I'll make a couple of quick points. The technologies that we have, and you may have seen this too, IBM Quantum Safe Explorer that enables in the discovery process is an automation tool. It identifies cryptography across a portfolio of applications, analyzes dependencies, and generates a cryptography bill of materials, which is a standard way of representing the cryptographic inventory. That is essential for us to exchange that data across various systems. The second is the cryptographic posture management that automates the discovery of dynamic cryptography and also helps in policy-based vulnerability management, so that we just don't discover and forget it, but you can discover and manage it. So both discovery of static and dynamic cryptography usage and its ongoing management gets automated. The second is architecture. When we talk about architecture, we want to make sure that you have a resilient infrastructure that not only helps you now, but also helps you make future updates. So the point is, crypto agility is not limited to just software, but also to hardware components or infrastructure components that you deploy. For example, the Quantum Safe Remediator has a component called Adaptive Proxy, which simply put is a network remediation tool that enables you to create an intermediary between all client types and your business applications. And this guy sits in the middle and abstracts and centralizes configuration and negotiates up or down the protocol based on what you need to do. The advantage being, if you have a legacy application that is difficult to change or you're afraid of changing, then you can slide the proxy in front of it and then let the proxy deal with the PQC communications, and it can translate it down to the back. So the external world, it looks like you have transformed your application, and that makes you safe. So there are simple techniques like this that will help you achieve agility. And we also have a performance test harness. I talked about the fact that these algorithms need to be tested for performance in your environment, in your use case, in your scenario, right? So we have a test harness that enables you to do just that, right? You can play various scenarios with it and then deploy it in your environment and learn. So there are tools and techniques that we have that helps you with that. And the last point is around governance, which is, I already talked about the policy-based vulnerability management that will help stakeholders within an organization to align, gain clear line of sight into where their enterprise cryptography usage is, and then effectively monitor for compliance, remediation, and most of all, make better informed policy decisions. So the bottom line is, it's not just about doing it once and now as part of the transition, Francis. It is about how are you going to maintain this going forward. So the bottom line is that crypto agility should be an underpinning of how one executes all of these activities. It is not an add-on or a bolt-on or something extra that some has to do. It is the way that you execute And the end result is that you have a crypto agile environment. That is what this yields.
So I got two last questions. The first one, probably maybe like kind of lightning round here as we wrap things up. So we've gone through a lot of, we've kind of gone deep.
Yeah.
We've gone overview. To the people watching this video, what would you say? If they didn't hear anything else, what would you want them to take away from this video?
So 3 points. One, I called on this earlier. The time is here and now, and you don't have as much time as you think you do. And the case in point is it took us 20 years to get to AES when we went through the transition. The second, it's not too late. If you haven't started yet, please start planning today. Right. And again, this is not to be a point of discouragement, but this is clearly a great time to start. And the last point is this is a great opportunity to build smarter, more resilient cryptographic architectures and systems, thereby achieving crypto agility. Don't let go of that opportunity.
So the last question maybe is, again, people hearing this video, they're like, man, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Obviously, IBM is doing a lot of thought leadership in this. If they wanted to work with you, there's probably other people that they could work with. But if they wanted to work with you, what's the best way for them to harness, some of the thoughts that you've been talking about and some of the tools that you've been talking about?
The great place is to go to www.ibm.com/quantumsafe, and there is a wealth of information available out there, and there are links, white papers, and contacts that you have that you can leverage. And there is even a form that says contact me with information, and that will flow through the system to the right persons. And we'll be happy to get in touch with you to help you in any way we can. And that's what we are doing with a number of clients right now across multiple industries.
Perfect. Well, thanks for your time, Ray. I know it's been it's always a pleasure talking to you, getting deep into these technologies, especially as we go into the quantum era. So thanks a lot. Great talking to you again.
Yeah, likewise, Francis. Appreciate the opportunity and looking forward to talking to you again.
It sounds good.
Take care.